Hello, welcome back to Project Eternicus. The project that never ends, because I changed my mind or changed how I thought things needed to be done several times, and so I had it to this point. I was ready to do the binding, which I was going to do a facing, and along with this one I was kind of working on this little project here. This was just a proof of concept to see how it was going to work, and I liked it. It just was way too thick, so then I needed to cut some of the extra things down. The thing is, when I got it done, I liked the wood grain on this. I thought it looked more like a frame. I loved this fabric. I thought it looked like a nice old-fashioned frame, but with it on there, it just doesn't look quite as well. Now, this is fabric I had bought at Joann's. This is the fabric that I had for the back of size quilt that I bought at my local quilt shop. I liked this color better. I thought it had a little more warmth to it, and I just liked the way it looked with it. The problem is, I have plenty of this fabric, but the grain is all going this way. I need the grain going the length. So then I was thinking, well, I'm just stuck with this. I need to finish it anyway. But my sister and I went down to the local quilt shop the other day when she was visiting, and she did have, it's actually a little bit darker, but she has the same fabric. So I have the strips, and they're ready to go. I do need to cut them and of course stitch them together and get them attached, all the things, but I have the strips cut out, and I really like how it looks with that frame. I think that looks so much nicer. It just really makes those colors pop. So once again, I'm going to be doing some unstitching so that I can do some stitching, but if all goes well, we will have this thing done on this video. So wish me luck. Okay, so now I have this next frame ready, set up. I've got it pinned on here, so now I'm just going to stitch it on, and then I'll just need to do the binding. Okay, it's time to get this quilt bound. I'm not going to do regular binding, I'm going to do a facing. So what I've done, I'm following a method that I saw online on All People Quilt. And the idea is you have these little corner triangles. You put these on first. Then we're going to put strips on. They say to cut it as wide as normal binding strips. I wanted it narrower, so mine's a little bit narrower. But you go about, halfway or so through your triangle. Then we're going to stitch, and we're going to do that along each side. And then we're going to flip that over, and those are going to flip over around to the back. and then this will get hand stitched down on the back. So I'm going to get these pinned on and then stitch them. Okay, time to stitch on the facing strips. In the instructions they tell you to do just like normal binding, so this would be folded over, but I'm really concerned about bulk on the edge of this, so when I do my stitching, I'm going to actually turn this up to the line and then I'll press it over so that I don't have the extra layer in the seam allowance. So that's why this is not folded over. So anyway, I'm going to stitch this now. Hopefully you can see that okay. Ouch. I've got to stop stabbing myself. That hurts. Okay. One thing I realized is I should have put my walking foot on to do this so that it stays nice and even. So I'm going to put that on really quick. Okay, so now what we're going to do is bring this up here, and then we're going to press that up that way. And then we're going to stitch. But anyway, we're going to press first. First we're going to press. So I'm going to go do that now. Okay, now those are pressed, and I'm going to do a line of stitching close to this. That way that what will happen is this will get stitched to this piece here. So when it rolls to the back, it'll want to stay together and it won't be trying so much to roll to the front. Under stitching. So I'm going to go stitch that right now. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do a diagonal stitching line across here so that we can trim this and get some of the bulk from the corner out. So I'm going to, if I can find my marking pencil. Okay, now you want to trim really close to that stitching line. Okay, now we're going to turn this. This is going to go to the back. I'm going to press that. And then this will get turned over like this. And we'll use our little corner turner to poke that out. I'm going to do that after I press it. And then we just stitch this to the back by hand. And then we'll be done. So I'm going to press that. And look at that. Ready to hang up on my wall. Yay! Yay! Do the back. So this is what it looks like in the back. It kind of makes a nice little frame back there as well. So these triangles I've stitched down so they're, you know, nice and tight. These are so loose so that a dowel can go. I did actually stitch part of that one, and I could unstitch it, but I'm not going to. I'm done with unstitching on here. So this has pockets so a dowel can go there and then it can get hung. And I have a spot right here on my wall that's already picked out. That's where it's going to be. I just have to get a dowel and then I can get it hung. Anyway, project is finally done. I was beginning to wonder if it was ever going to get finished. So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again next time. Okay, one other little thing I just thought of. Comment down below, have you guys ever had a project that you did a bunch of unstitching, or you changed your mind several times and you thought you'd never get it done, that you did finally get done? Or maybe you have one in progress that you're now inspired to get finished. Let me know. So I meant to do a video on my very first quilt that I ever started, and the fact that it's amazing that I actually quilt, and why you should probably not make a quilt like my first one. And I was going to also take it apart and keep a small section of it because it has seen a lot of use over the years. It's disintegrating and it was enormous. So I needed to make something small out of it. And before I took it apart, I was going to do a video and explain how this process went. And then I kind of forgot and I started taking it apart. So before everything gets further along, I'm going to show you. This is the quilt that I'm talking about. This was the very first quilt that I started quilting with, the first one I chose to make. As you can see, it's really large. It's king size. The blocks are, I think they were 13 inches, or they were supposed to be 13 inches, I guess I should say. Mine are various sizes. This is the batting, which was a double thick batting, and the backing was just some heavy muslin. Because the batting was so thick, I actually had tied this instead of quilting it. And I've just spent a bunch of time today taking the ties off. I had a great big handful of them that I already threw away. I'm not going to retrieve those from the garbage. But I have all this stuff here, the dead batting. I mean, you can see how worn it is. It's going to go in the garbage, and I think the backing is too. It probably is in good enough shape. I could use it again. But as I was going through some stuff today, I also actually found my original fabric for this quilt. I have some of it at least. The plain light blue. Let's get a closer look here. So this plain light blue I do still have. I have about 3/4 of a yard, I figure. And I have about 1/2 yard of this. I think I have some scraps of that in my scrap fabric. I'm not sure. I don't have any more of the border fabric. And I did leave the binding on here. It's actually a spiral binding. By the time I finished this quilt, it was pretty much the only thing I liked about it. Anyway, I will do some more video on this at some point, talking about how this quilt came about and the adventures and the time it took me to finish. It was not the first quilt I finished. It was pretty much quilt number 11, I think. But it was the first one I started. We'll talk about why this is a terrible pattern for a beginner or even intermediate quilt. This is really kind of an advanced pattern. And I'll show you, I did actually redo this pattern with some different fabric at one point. So there's more to come on this quilt, but I wanted to get this done right now before I throw away the backing and the batting. So those parts are just going to go away today. We'll have more on this quilt later.